Today we're talking about why the customer is always right is wrong. Well, is the customer always right? Well, sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're wrong. Well, before you react, this is an old debate. I'm not sure it can win, but here's some tips that can be helpful if you're in this dilemma. I remember my first job out of college and my first company. So our mantra was the customer is always right, and oh, by the way, everyone is a customer. That included my boss, my peers, vendors and suppliers, my team, and even all the external customers. So as you can imagine, sometimes that's joyful, sometimes it's confusing, and sometimes it's very difficult. So let's take a look at being right and wrong. So how do we know? Well, first of all, we have to discern if they are right or wrong. So here are some examples of some of the phrases that your customers could say. They may say, hey, your system is down. Well, they could actually be right. So it would be great to take heed, check the system, and indeed get it back up. Sometimes they may say, my password does not work. Well, it could be not the password. Maybe they're using an incorrect login, like email address, so it doesn't work, but it's not the password. Sometimes they may say, these directions don't make sense. Well, I don't know. Or they may say, customer service is slow. Compared to what? We really don't know. So sometimes what we know about customers are, sometimes they can get confused. They can say, these instructions don't work. Well, okay. Well, they are using old instructions. Maybe they didn't read the email address to use the new instructions after a system upgrade. They also can exaggerate. You've probably encountered this one. I've called 100 times and no one's called me back. Well, actually, we log all of the telephone calls in our ticketing system, and you've actually called once and you failed to leave a callback number. They can also lie. They can say, this worked last year, and demand that for some reason your system is not working. Well, the truth is they're using an outdated email address from a company that they no longer work for. So let's take a further look at whether they're wrong or right. So how do we take a customer that's actually wrong and make them right? So again, we have to discern that there are two steps. First of all, figure out what they're saying. If you can figure out what they're saying, you're actually determining what they value. So for instance, if these directions don't make sense, what they value is clarity and simplicity in instructions. If they say customer service is slow, what they value is a quick response. You may not have to fix the problem, but just acknowledging them and giving them some kind of response is what they value. So on the second step, make them feel right about what they value. So don't try to tell them they're wrong about these. Turn it around and make them feel right about it. And say, for instance, you are right. Clarity and simplicity in instructions is very valuable. Or you could say, you're right. Having a quick response from customer service is very valuable. That way, they feel heard and they feel valued. So if you need some additional resources for this age-old debate, then sign up for our software now at projectmanager.com.